You guys seem to really enjoy the first hot takes video I did on the Batman Arkham series, and today we are here with your gaming hot takes. Now, I just want to preface this by saying, if you guys have a hot take, drop in the comments. It does not have to be pertained to Batman Arkham. It could be pertained to games in general. So I'm just clearing that up now. I'm pretty sure these are all going to be Batman Arkham hot takes. However, if you have any other story mode games or any games in general that you want to drop your hot takes on, let me know down in the comments and I'll see if I can get to them. But I'm pretty sure these are mostly going to be Batman Arkham hot takes. But without further ado, let's get right here into the first one. Hot take: Joker, Scarecrow, and the Arkham Knight weren't the true villains in Batman Arkham Knight. It was Batman. He got Robin kidnapped. He was fighting himself, Joker slash Batman's brain. He's the reason why most of the villains exist, and he fuels the villains of Gotham. Now, I'm not going to entirely disagree or even attempt to disagree on this matter, just because this is one of those topics where I think this might just have a deeper meaning than on the surface of, oh, it's another game where Batman is trying to take out these, super criminals, whatever you want to call them. But on the surface level, it seems like that. But the deeper you go, the more you realize that this game is really just a battle of Batman's mind. Hence why, that might be why the developers made Scarecrow the targeted main villain, even though the actual main villain out of these villains was the Arkham Knight. At the end of the day, that's kind of what it was. The entire game's Mysterio was around who is this guy who knows all about us and he knows our identity even. We want to know who this guy is. But when it came to, Batman in his mind, that was definitely the biggest obstacle for Batman to overcome in this game. Because once he was able to overcome that, he was able to defeat Scarecrow. So I can absolutely see where you are coming from here. But I wouldn't go as far as to say that he got Robin kidnapped, because Robin has been proven time and time again he can handle himself. Same thing with Nightwing. These guys know how to take care of themselves against the thugs. Now, you could argue that, he was kidnapped because it's the video game. It's this for the sake of the plot to make Batman realize what he's done and, who he truly is. And that's a fair point. Now, I am going to go back on my statement I made a couple minutes ago. I actually do have one thing here to disagree with, and that's the whole argument of he's the reason why these villains exist. That argument is not a fair point to make. That's like saying that video games cause violence when it's been proven that it doesn't, right? And the thing is, if these people are crazy enough to obsess over someone like Batman, then who's to say they weren't crazy enough to obsess over some other individual? Like, Joker could have found another obsession and made his whole personality about that. It could have been the exact same thing, just with a different guy. So I don't think it's Batman's fault. Batman has the right intentions. It's just that these people are crazy, and let's just say maybe Batman's measures are a little bit too light at some points. You could argue that maybe there are certain cases where the death penalty is warranted. For example, the super criminals, especially the ones that are super obsessive over Batman and will do anything to get his attention. These super criminals are crazy, and I think that they would do it regardless of who it is. The next hot take I have here is actually a Batman Arkham City hot take, so you guys better buckle up here a little bit, because I know how you guys get over Batman Arkham City. But here it goes. My hot take: City has the worst story in the saga. It was a glorified fetch quest that ultimately led to an unsatisfying end. Plus, they completely ignore the main plot for half the game, lame twists that ultimately lead nowhere, a subpar ending that completely disrespect the supposed main villain of the game, and the atmosphere has zero flavor. It's all just gray and more gray. At least the other games have unique atmospheres. Asylum had an eerie green sky, Origins had a snowy blizzard, and Night felt truly like Gotham with a cesspool, turned into city. Now, I don't think it has the worst story of the saga. When I think about it, on the spot here, I understand why people say it's a glorified fetch quest, because I'm kind of a similar belief. I don't think I'm as extreme about it as certain people are, but I understand why people would, be led to believe that. And I completely agree that they just ignored the main villain for half the game. I think the whole Joker stuff with, him dying and whatnot, I think it was mostly for shock value. I think it was mostly, to get people to buy the game, be like, wow, look at the ending of this game, it's fantastic. So I think it was mostly for shock value and for money. And I don't know if the developers fully thought out what they were going to do in Batman Arkham Knight, because they seem to have to find a way to put him into Batman Arkham Knight, even though he was no longer alive. So I wonder if that was something that they just never fully thought out, because the Joker will sell 9 times out of 10 in a Batman scenario. 10 times out of 10, probably. Probably 11 times out of 10. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they just didn't fully think through the death stuff. But maybe they were trying to move on, but realized they could probably get one more good Joker performance, even if he's no longer alive. But besides that, yeah, I understand, like, what people will say about the story. I wouldn't say the atmosphere is bad, though. I would actually say that, like, Arkham City has a pretty decent, world build, but I will say, like, it doesn't have the worst atmosphere. In my opinion, I think that Asylum's did. Specifically in the post game. The post game is where Arkham Asylum gets extremely dead. At least there's still people and quests to do in Arkham City after the story. But for, Arkham Asylum, there wasn't really very much of that. But yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, but I don't think Arkham City has the worst story in the saga. I think that belongs to probably Batman Arkham Asylum, then City, then Night, then Origins. For our third hot take of the video, we have one discussing Batman Arkham Origins, and it reads as follows. My hot take is that Origins isn't underrated. I've been saying it was amazing. I stood by it. When people said it was bad. Then they said it was underrated. It's not underrated if everyone says it is. I think this is like becoming less of a hot take as time goes on. I think people are finally starting to realize Batman Arkham Origins is a fantastic game. I've always liked it. I never understood the hate around it. I think it's a fantastic game. I think it's probably the second best game in the entire saga, in my opinion. Especially when it comes to like the overall story mode. But yeah, I do agree. It's definitely not underrated anymore. So the next two that I have here actually contradict each other, so this should get very interesting. So the first one reads as follows. The Mr. Freeze boss fight isn't just the best boss fight in the Arkham franchise. It should be in the conversation for one of the best boss fights in gaming, period. Is that a hot take? I don't think that's a hot take. I do agree it's one of the best boss battles in gaming. You could argue that it's like very simple and maybe too simple for it to be considered that great, but I think in terms of like a boss fight, like even to this day, Mr. Freeze can give me a pretty good run for my money sometimes. He will get shots off on me sometimes. I'm still trying to figure out, wait, what did I do yet? Did I use the line launcher? Did I use the side of the takedown? Did I use the grates in the floor? Yeah, there is like some challenging aspects about Mr. Freeze to this day. And if a boss can challenge you even after you've already beaten him, yeah, that's how you know he's a good boss. Is he one of the best in gaming? Probably, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's quite a few great bosses I haven't played, but I will say in my experience, yeah, I would say he's definitely one of the best. This next one's probably going to give this guy here a lot of hate, and I don't even know what to think of this, but here we go. Mr. Freeze's boss fight in Arkham City is my least favorite. It's so quick and has so little challenge, it ends up being boring when I replay City. It's always an enjoyable roadblock that I'd rather skip through, even though, because it usually lasts less than 5 minutes. Okay, so there's one thing I will give you, that this boss fight shouldn't exist, and I think that the only reason why this boss fight exists is because Mr. Freeze decided to turn a 180 and bite the hand that feeds him and try to attack Batman because he wouldn't help find Nora after Batman already held up his ends of the bargain. So I think it was just like made up drama just for the sake of added drama to have a boss fight. So the reason for having a boss fight there isn't a very good reason, but the boss fight itself I would say is very good because you can't just take him on in hand-to-hand combat. You have to be a lot more strategic than that. You have to find different ways to take him down because you can't take him down the same way twice. I think it's a very good boss battle, even to this day. Is it as good as it used to be? No, but no boss battle is going to be as good as it used to be because we now know how to beat it. Now for the final hot take of this video. My hot take is that Arkham Knight Batmobile gets too much hate after we asked for it for years, and this is one I 100%, with every fiber of my being, every single particle of my body, agree with. It gets so much hate after we asked to use the Batmobile for so long. I don't know how you thought it would get incorporated in the game, but of course it's going to get incorporated somewhat into the story. Of course it's going to get incorporated somewhat into side missions, somewhat into combat. Like, I don't know what you were expecting, but of course it's going to get used. I don't know what you thought it was going to be. If you thought it was just going to be some, like, you use it one time and all of a sudden you're done with it. Like, you don't even really use it that much. People make it out like you use it so much, but in reality is you only use it for like 20% of the game, if that. So I think it's way too much hate. I would say that eventually people will come around to it, but I don't even know if that's true anymore. But guys, these are the hot takes for this video. Like I mentioned before, if you have any gaming hot takes, drop them in the comments below, and I will be sure to check them all out. It doesn't have to be Batman Arkham related, so if you don't know much about Batman Arkham and you have a gaming hot take, drop it, and we'll see. Of course, I probably won't respond if I don't know much about the game, but, that is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm always glad to see what you guys have to say about gaming in general, so let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. I'll probably do this series once every couple weeks, I'm thinking. Once every couple weeks, because if I do it every week, eventually we'll run out of gaming hot takes. I think once every couple weeks is good. That's good. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more content, and I'll make sure to see you guys in the next one. Peace!